All right, all right, all right. I think we're starting. Hello everyone. Let me pull up my interface here so I can see all of you. Welcome to the chat room. Welcome. No, sign into chat. I've already signed into chat. What do you mean I have to sign into chat? Uh, you're going to be able to hear my password through my keyboard. And someone's going to guess my password from my keyboard. I think that's the right password for this one. Yes. No, I don't have a. No, that's not my phone anymore. Oh, tap yes on my phone or tablet. Yes. Hey. All right, now I can see chat. Hello, Shelly. Hello, Kaylee. Hello, Keith. Hello, Katrina. Simplify your sign in. Not now. You're signed in. Not now. I'd like to see my chat, please. Thank you very much. Which chat? This chat. Yes. Amazing. Oh, hey. Hello, Coral. My name is Leona now. I approve. I'm okay with it. I have been many things, and that is much more pleasant than many of the things. If I'm awake and see Leonard streaming, then I refuse to use the door to get to Twitch. Okay. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'll take it as a compliment. So, the air conditioning is off, and it is 31 degrees outside, which I think is somewhere around 90 something. Oh, walls. Okay. Still not quite sure. Oh, I'm bursting through walls. Oh, refuse the door. You're bursting through walls. Aha. Um. All right. Yeah. What was um. What was the Kool-Aid guy's like thing he would burst through and he'd go all right or okay or something like that. I forget what it was. Anyway, um. I don't advertise on Twitter. Could Musk sue me? Well, yeah, you're. So I have a couple things for you here. Today's going to be kind of a show and tell. It was oh yeah. It was kind of a show and tell day with Elon Musk stuff. First, must moisturize my lips because you can never have enough moisturized lips. Uh, can't wait to hear Leonard's thought on the Musk stupidity. Yes, hello Goliath. How are you? Um, So let's first take a look at what the Elon Musk thing is. The short version is that it's a lawsuit against a group of advertisers who held community standards and basically said to each other, you know, Twitter doesn't meet the community standards anymore, so or advertising standards anymore, so they boycotted Twitter. You could you're going to hear them refer to this as a group boycott a lot. Try not to get hung up on that language because somewhere near the end I'm going to explain that this is not a group boycott and that the language is being used incorrectly. And spoiler alert, since I'm not one, this is not a channel about surprises and jump scares. There is a political slant to this too. So if you don't like that I talk about politics once in a while, only when it crosses into the law and the law is meaningful. Um, I'm not here to rant about politics. I'm here to point out that there is a political slant to it. Or rather, that's one of the things I want to point out. And then we will actually look at case law that goes over what law applies to this lawsuit. And then you can decide for yourself whether the lawsuit has any merit. You can see where I'm going with this. I don't believe that it does, but I don't want to tell you what to think. I want to show you what I think. And you can think about this. I don't want to tell you what to think, as in Elon Musk's an idiot and his lawsuit is just political trash. Um, that's my personal conclusion, but I want to get you there. If I don't get you there, okay, tell me why I didn't get you there. I'm really not doing a whole lot on this show to like prove everything to the nth degree. It's more of a cursory examination within the time that everyone has, and currently the mental fortitude that I have, especially for Elon Musk. But there's like two people in the public eye, and then there's a few people in my private life that I can't spend too much mental time around, or else it starts to take its toll. So let's take a look first at the lawsuit itself. I'm going to try not to spend a million hours on it, um, and hopefully we can get the gist of what's going on. So it's X Corp, which is X Twitter. So it used to be twitter.com. It was twitter.com for a while it was X, and then it finally is now x.com. Um, and if you're like me, you may have left the platform. I left the platform the day Elon Musk took over for personal reasons. He's suing the World Federation of Advertisers as well as Unilever, Mars, CVS, and Orsted. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. It's the O with the line through it. I forget which Greek letter that is, theta or something, and I don't don't know how to pronounce that. It's an antitrust action in name relating to a group boycott by competing advertisers of the most popular social media platforms in the United States. Now, why is he saying competing advertisers? Okay, so I'm not going to fill in the blanks there yet. Just keep an eye on that. Acting with and through the WFA, World Federation of Advertisers, is the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, GARM. It's a great acronym. I'm not sure they thought about that, but Global Alliance for Responsible Media. You can, if you take its name at face value, it's a alliance for responsible media, and it's global in scope. Dozens of non-defendant co-conspirators conspired with the defendants to collectively withhold billions of dollars in advertising revenue from Twitter, now X Corp. Concerned that Twitter might deviate from certain brand safety standards for advertising on social media platforms set through GARM, the conspirators collectively acted to enforce Twitter's adherence to those standards through the boycott. And again, just keep in mind, this is their language, not mine. As a condition of membership, GARM's members agree to adopt GARM's brand safety standards, including by withholding advertising from social media platforms deemed by GARM to be non-compliant with safety standards. Okay? Pursuant to the conspiracy, according to Musk and X, major brand advertisers, including the defendants and others, agreed to and did abruptly boycott Twitter by discontinuing entirely or substantially reducing their previously substantial advertising purchases from Twitter. Like this, okay, so if you haven't been paying attention to Twitter and Elon Musk, God bless you. Thank goodness there's one of you that can go through this world and not pay attention to those things. Elon Musk acquired Twitter and promptly got rid of a lot of safety standards himself, which is the reason why I left. And he's also had a lot of very abrasive things to say about people he doesn't like, which also happens to include the opposing political party. So if you are any of those people and you've left, this sounds really whiny and complainy to me and to those people. I'll let them speak for themselves, but this sounds really whiny and complainy. If you read into it, if you read between the lines, the language here is unbelievable. The defendants agreed to abruptly and in lockstep boycott Twitter by discontinuing or reduce. Okay, so yes, in fact, they did discontinue their advertising on Twitter collectively in a kind of a boycott. But remember, you're saying this is an illegal boycott. So why is it an illegal boycott? There's nothing wrong with a boycott. The advertisers should be able to get together and decide that there are standards and that they're not going to fall below those standards. Okay. GARM apparently has taken responsibility for the massive economic harm imposed on Twitter, boasting within a few months that they, Twitter, are 80% below revenue forecasts. Okay, so they may have taken some uh, glee or some happiness from the effect of their boycott. Okay, so this is horrible. This is absolutely the worst thing anyone has ever done to anyone. So let's continue. Uh, where is this illegal boycott? The boycott and its effects continue to this day. The conduct is a naked restraint of trade without countervailing benefits to competition or consumers. In a competitive market, each social media platform would set the brand safety standards that are optimal for the platform for its users. Social media platforms that select efficient brand safety standards will thrive. Okay, so he's advocating for a free market without regulation. So the social media platforms would set their standards, which Elon Musk set his standards, and then the advertisers would choose which platforms they advertise on, which is what they did. Inefficient platforms would lag behind. Twitter is 80% below revenue forecasts. Do they read these things before they send them? I mean, this their lawyer and like the plaintiff, whoever, Musk or whatever, read this first, right? Like within a few sentences, they have answered their own question, like on the same page here. Like it's it's right there. It's right there on the page. So let me this you have to it's like every it's projection, every attack is an admission. So this is really unbelievable. In a competitive market, a social media platform would set brand safety standards, which they did, that are optimal for the platform. Okay, so that's, business judgment. We have something called the business judgment rule. Uh, Elon Musk gets to make business judgments, and unlike Chevron deference, you don't get to question them. In a competitive market, all that stuff happens. Social media platforms then have their own rights to set their own safety standards. Then the advertisers get to choose which safety standards they agree to. So he's answered his own question in 3 sentences here. But, there's a big old but here. Collective action among competing advertisers to dictate brand safety standards to be applied by social media platforms shortcuts the competitive process and allows the collective views of a group of advertisers with market power to override the interests of consumers. The Sherman Act does not allow this. Don't believe that yet. The brand safety standards set by GARM should succeed or fail in the marketplace on their own merits and not through the coercive exercise of market power by advertisers. What's the difference between free speech and coercive exercise of market power? Remember, this is Elon Musk, the telling advertisers to go F themselves, and Elon Musk, the bastion of free speech. Market square, there will be no interference whatsoever with the free market. But then he's interested in interfering with the free market. The free market, the advertisers banded together and formed a coalition and decided that Twitter's brand safety was in question. Why was that different than anything else you advocate for? And it's a massive hypocrisy, but let's continue. The unlawful conduct alleged herein is also the subject of an investigation. Okay, great. We got to there. The investigation is a political investigation, so you should know this. I'm not saying more because I'm not interested in the politics of it here on this channel. However, it has a political slant to it. So this is again a investigation into the World Federation of Advertisers and the Global Alliance of Responsible Media. They claim to represent 90% of global advertising spend, or $1 trillion. They claim every major advertising agency is included. I have my doubts about these things. Because these politically slanted things tend to take things out of context. So here we go. Twitter and Elon Musk. Gee, so someone who is currently, supporting a political candidate through his company, Twitter, now also has, politicians writing about how he's been harmed by this GARM thing. So apparently, GARM, the advertiser coalition, has pulled advertising from Twitter and Joe Rogan over misinformation, pulled advertising from candidates, platforms, and news outlets, they claim because of opposing political views. Um, it doesn't say what those misguided political views are. It just says that they hate bullshit and ideology bullshit and misguided opinions. That doesn't say which that doesn't say which political party, but you can tell that the people complaining are all on one side of the political aisle. Um, he's also trying to give credibility to the Hunter Biden laptop and the Biden family influence peddling story. So, sane people with logic will see this and go, yeah, now I see why the advertisers pulled their advertising. Like, why would you want your advertising around all of that fake BS misinformation crap? So, this makes sense that they would pull their advertising. It also makes sense that a whiny baby like Elon Musk would want to sue them because they pulled their advertising after he said whatever he wanted to say and they didn't like it. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not serving, not patronizing a business that you don't want to patronize because they say horrible things. I, for example, did not buy a Tesla because Elon Musk says horrible things. I was in the market for a car. We bought a car. We did not buy a Tesla. We did not even look at a Tesla. And they're very prevalent here. So there's lots of good charging and all that. And it's all compatible. So it was no problem, except I don't want a car made by a guy who's going to talk like that about people. I don't talk like that about people. Um, I don't think it's productive to talk like that about people. I talk on the merits. Go ahead and attack people on the merits if you really want to attack people, but don't do it with fake information. And don't the thing with his daughter, it really bothers me too. So that aside, so this has a political slant to it, and it is complaining that GARM is a trade association and coordinates actions that rob consumers of choices because they have advertising safety standards. When seatbelts were put in cars, people complained that it robbed you of your choice not to wear a seatbelt when it was made illegal to go ride without a safety belt in the 1980s, end of the 70s, early 80s. When airbags were made mandatory, it was highly resisted because it increased costs, and some people want to choose to drive without this safety mechanism. Pennsylvania repealed the law requiring motorcyclists to wear helmets because freedom of choice. So the debate here is kind of between. So the debate here is kind of between, how free are you to do things that could hurt you and other people, and how free is the government, or how much empowered is the government to make a regulation, or in this case, how empowered is a private organization to make a decision about safety standards. Is it antitrust for advertisers to band together and boycott Twitter because Elon Musk said things that were unsafe to have their advertisements around? Back to his lawsuit, real quick. It's a few more minutes. So it's X versus a bunch of companies. Ørsted, a renewable Danish energy, a renewable Danish energy company. No, how about a Danish renewable energy company? Unilever makes the soaps and things like that, and I'm sure a whole bunch of other products that I don't remember. Mars is the candy company. CVS is the the convenience store company or the drugstore company. And the gist of it is basically that the Global Alliance for Responsible Media did its job. It identified issues with Twitter and it pulled advertising. So GARM includes the big six. GARM membership is broader than those activities. Okay. It's an organization led by and for advertisers. It leverages collective market power to advance economic interests by forcing change. So here we go back with the language again. Instead of reciting facts now, it's into the conclusions. Acting collectively, advertisers aim to realize changes to the business models of digital media and social media platforms. Okay, so do they want to realize changes, or are they simply going to pull advertising when you don't meet their standards? I mean, so is it illegal for me not to buy something from you because you didn't meet my standard? Why wouldn't it be legal for me to band together with other consumers and say, no, I'm not going to buy that because it's not safe? Full self-drive isn't safe or something, so I'm not going to buy it. That's not illegal. That's not illegal. And we're going to get to why it's not illegal and why this lawsuit is really weird. Um, so they cite to a bunch of things here from GARM. The goal is to remove harmful content from advertiser-supported media on digital media platforms and ensure that the industry works together to ensure GARM apparently doesn't speak English very well. And ensure that the industry works together to ensure that this is prioritized by executives of digital media and social media platforms rather than by the advertising sales teams. Okay. I'm still not finding how it's an illegal boycott. Okay, so they're organized to promulgate standards. The standards include brand safety standards, which specify techniques to implement brand safety standards. GARM's core work is focused on creating industry standards and solutions in monetization, seeking to improve transparency, consistency, control, and accountability. Okay, none of that sounds bad. The Standards and Definitions Working Group is focused on an industry-wide common framework of definitions to drive transparency. Guys, you're 44 paragraphs in here. Get to it. The GARM Measurement and Oversight Working Group is tasked with agreeing upon an aggregated reporting framework. Great. That proves your case. Independent Verification Working Group is tasked with something. This complaint refers to the output of these working groups. Okay, great. Paragraph 47. By forcing social... By the way, when you actually do have a complaint, it's usually like paragraph 1. They hit me with their car. Paragraph 2, I was hurt. Paragraph 3, I was damaged by this much money. Paragraph 4, please grant me relief. Like, it's not this wordy. By forcing social media platforms to adopt and adhere to the brand safety standards, GARM member advertisers force social media platforms to incur costs. What? Those costs were previously borne by advertisers. They lose revenue when advertisers don't give them revenue. Before brand safety standards, each advertiser negotiated individually. Now they work together as a coalition. Wow. I am not impressed with the work of the lawyer that wrote this. And if it was more than one, holy shit. The changes to the business operations that GARM forces on social media are not in the best interests of those social media platforms. No, it's in the best interests of GARM, you dumb. These changes... Although GARM sets the brand safety standard, GARM is not a mere standard-setting body. Okay, it's more. This is not my final form. So GARM members agree to follow the brand safety standards. Great. It's like they're like, look, they're doing it out in the open. They're forming a coalition and they're making a decision together like a membership organization. Oh my God, can't stop them! The GARM FAQ plainly requires GARM member advertisers to adopt and implement the brand safety standards. We're in paragraph 56 now. The collective action to enforce the brand safety standard contemplated by GARM involves the collective exercise of market power to promote through GARM the economic interests of GARM's advertiser members. Yeah? What else do you think membership organizations do? They're saying these words as if these things mean something heavy and weighted, and you're supposed to be like, oh, but this isn't anything out of the ordinary. This is just big scary wording of normal things. Oh, and if you get it inside your body, it's gonna fill you up, and if you have too much, then you're gonna die. It's just water. It's just water. Like, come on, man. Just back off, and like there's a duty of candor and honesty to the tribunal, rule 3.3 of the model rules of professional conduct. And you're like walking the line here where you're not quite being honest with the court here. But okay. You got to make, like, whiny crybaby has to have his lawsuit. Okay, so the agreements, it's basically they're saying it's antitrust. They're saying that the advertisers are illegally working together, and there's actually another 25 pages of this. So I'm gonna skim it. After being contacted by Coca-Cola about possibly boycotting Spotify, Rakowitz wrote demanding a meeting between Spotify and GARM. If Spotify did not give in to GARM's demands, Rakowitz wrote, I'm sorry this isn't working. We are gravely concerned about your lack of fundamental policies and decision making on your platform. This is a statement backed by the Steer team, which you will recall functions as a board of directors and brings together Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Mars, Diageo, 4AS, Group M, etc. I'm a little disappointed by the lack of seriousness this meeting is being handled with. We've held back on press commentary on this incident out of deference. I'd really like to understand the holdup in securing a route to top with a holistic team covering trust and safety, revenue, etc. If we're unable to connect and discuss the issues, we'll only be able to comment with what we've been able to glean. So, what's the big deal? The Twitter didn't want to meet their brand safety. Twitter actually told them to go F themselves, and now Twitter is suing because they went and F'd themselves. It's F around and find out. That's what it is. So they boycotted Twitter, and apparently they were proud of it. According to this, they took pride in it and said they had throttled Twitter. I guess that's what that means. I'm not entirely sure, but okay. So the throttled is usually like, when you strangle somebody. So they strangled Twitter. Great. Basically, from one end, it looks like Twitter and its CEO simply dropped their safety standards, and the advertisers noticed collectively. From Elon Musk's perspective, I really have no idea what he thinks is the right that he has to advertising dollars. If he has a right to advertising dollars, then I have a right to advertising dollars. So if he wins this lawsuit, then I guess we all sue YouTube next for the same thing. Okay. So basically, the rest of this makes it sound very much like they all did this. They colluded together and did this. Great. I'm going to skip ahead now because we're 30 minutes into my live stream here and I'm keeping you in suspense. Let's go to a different source. Let's go to a source that is not Elon Musk. I'm going to go to a source here. I'm going to go to Case Text. This is not a sponsorship or something. This is just the research engine that I use. Unfortunately, it's been purchased by Thomson Reuters, I think, and I'm not a big fan of the Thomson Reuters and LexisNexis. They tend to buy up these companies and then squeeze out the dollars in a very antitrust for like fashion. So the question is, what is a group boycott, and why is it illegal? So one of the things legal research engines will do is offer these summaries. The Second Circuit noted that, the Second Circuit noted that the Court of Appeals are uncertain as to whether when the per se group boycott rule, okay, so per se is an automatic group boycott rule, applies to a decision by a purchaser to favor one supplier over another. Okay, so did they favor one supplier over another? I don't know. Maybe they might be allowed to for certain reasons. I mean, this court considered a group boycott in Fashion Originators Guild of America versus FTC in 1941, created by an agreement among a group of clothing designers, manufacturers, suppliers, and retailers. The defendant designers, manufacturers, and suppliers had promised not to sell their clothes to retailers who bought clothes from competing manufacturers and suppliers. So, in an analogy, this example would apply if the advertisers withheld their advertising on Twitter if certain other advertisers were allowed. So, if Unilever's competitor was on Twitter, then they would withhold advertising. That would be closer to, if maybe not, an illegal group boycott. In this case, we ask whether the antitrust rule that group boycotts are illegal per se applies to a buyer's decision to buy from one seller rather than another, when that decision cannot be justified in terms of ordinary competitive objectives. We hold that rule does not apply. So no, it is not a group boycott for a buyer to decide to buy from one seller rather than another without explaining why, or even having a justification. A group of competitors threatened to withhold business from third parties unless those third parties would help them injure their directly competing rivals. So this is important. We need to remember these phrases, directly competing. Ordinarily, the decision to discriminate in favor of one supplier over another will have a pro-competitive intent and effect. But in this case, no such pro-competitive rationale appears on the face of the complaint. Rather, the complaint alleges Material Enterprises' decision to buy from AT&T Technologies rather than Discon, another party, was intended to be anti-competitive. Discon has alleged a cause of action, at least under the rule of reason, and possibility under the per se rule, if the restraint of trade had no purpose except to stifle competition. Okay, so we could also have a group boycott that's illegal if it has no purpose except to stifle competition. But we know this is not that because the purpose of the GARM boycott was to raise brand standards, raise advertising safety standards. Let's go on to the next one. That was 9X versus Discon. This is Phil Tolkien Datsun versus Greater Milwaukee Datsun. The classic group boycott is a concerted attempt by a group of competitors at one level to protect themselves from competition from non-group members who seek to compete at that level. Let me read that again and try to think of Elon Musk and X and GARM. The classic group boycott is a concerted attempt by a group of competitors. Okay, so GARM is Unilever and Procter & Gamble and CVS, right? Like, those are competitors, right? Like, CVS is in competition with Unilever. No, actually, CVS is in the vertical supply chain of Unilever. I don't think CVS makes competing products except like the generic CVS brand. Got that? Okay, maybe they do. But they also stock Unilever products on the shelves next to the CVS generic brand. Okay, they're not pure competitors. Mars. is not a competitor with CVS. You do not go to CVS and buy CVS brand candies. So no, these are not a group of competitors. But okay, these are a group. It's fine. It's a group. At one level, to protect themselves from competition. Are they protecting themselves from competition? They don't want competition. These are advertisers. So what's competition to an advertiser? Um, Other advertisers? But it's not direct competition. Is it like we're talking about like the market for advertising, like the general advertising market, like everybody going to Twitter and trying to buy advertising? So they're trying to protect themselves from the competition of the other advertisers by boycotting it. I mean, if anything, boycotting it would make the other advertisers able to advertise more for less money, increasing competition. It would hurt Twitter. Typically, the boycotting group combines to deprive would-be competitors of a trade relationship which they need in order to enter or survive in the level of business where the group operates. So does Twitter need to enter and operate the businesses of CVS, Unilever, Mars, Procter and Gamble, etc., the GARM advertisers? Do they not advertising? We're not talking about the competing in the world of advertising. No, no, no. CVS is not an like an advertising agency. CVS is a client who buys advertising. So is Twitter or X in competition with Mars and Procter and Gamble and GARM and all that? No, absolutely not in any way. The group, back to Phil Tolkien Dotson, the group may accomplish its exclusionary purpose by inducing suppliers not to sell to potential competitors. So inducing suppliers not to sell to potential competitors, inducing customers not to buy from competitors, or refusing to deal with competitors themselves. So they refuse to deal with their competitor, Twitter. So Twitter really has to make the connection that Twitter is a competitor to CVS, Procter & Gamble, etc. I do not believe that it is. In each instance, however, the hallmark of the group boycott is the effort of competitors to barricade themselves from competition at their own level. It is this purpose, to exclude competition, that has characterized the Supreme Court's decision invoking the group boycott per se rule. So that's the per se rule. Group boycott is a relatively broad level for divergent types of concerted activity to outlaw certain types of business conduct merely by attaching the group boycott and per se labels obviously invites the chance that certain types of reasonable concerted activity will be proscribed. The danger of the rote application of the per se rule to all conduct that could be considered a group boycott is that the sound teachings of experience will be extended into new and unfamiliar areas where they will have no proper application. The Smith Court noted that the third type of group boycott to which it referred, the refusal by traders at the same level to deal with a would-be competitor, is relatively rare and can be effective only where it is necessary for firms at the boycotting level to do business with each other, as is true, for example, in the case of brokers. So, is it necessary for Twitter to be doing business with the advertisers? No. Twitter can sell advertising to other advertisers. There's more. On September 28, 1979, Tolkien Dotson filed suit in the federal court against the association, the Greater Milwaukee Dotson Dealers Association, claiming violations of state and federal antitrust laws. They alleged the association's refusal to admit Tolkien as a member constituted a group boycott and was thus per se illegal. Tolkien also contended that the same legal principles entitled it to damages at least equal to the profits of 60 Datsun Model 210s, such profits representing the difference between the money Tolkien would have made from an 80 vehicle pro rata share of 320 promotional hatchbacks, the 300 cars ordered by the association plus 20 additional vehicles, and the profit Tolkien actually garnered from the 20 extra cards provided to him during the promotion period. I kind of want to know what happens in this case, though. In Broadcast Music versus Columbia Broadcast System, the court indicated that per se treatment was justified only where the purpose and effect of the challenged practice are to threaten the proper operation of our predominantly free market economy, or where the practice facially appears to be one that would always, or almost always, tend to restrict competition and decrease output. So no, I do not think that there is a group boycott per se. Membership arrangements in trade associations form an exception to the general rule that group boycotts constitute per se antitrust violations. Let's see that again. Florists Nationwide Telephone Delivery Network versus Florists Telegraph Delivery Association, again, says membership arrangements in trade associations are an exception to the general rule that group boycotts constitute a per se or automatic antitrust violation. So back to Tolkien Dotson. Tolkien Dotson concedes the existence of such an exception, but argues that per se treatment is still appropriate here, since both the purpose and the effect of the challenged membership restriction was to exclude competitors or coerce conduct. Now remember, this is the Tolkien Dotson versus the Dotson Dealers Association, not Twitter versus Twitter's advertisers. Tolkien relies heavily on Associated Press versus United States, in which the Supreme Court found that certain membership requirements of the Associated Press constituted an unreasonable restraint on trade. See Silver versus New York Stock Exchange. The court held unlawful the denial by the New York Stock Exchange of a direct wire telephone connection to a non-member stockbroker. However, neither of these cases reveals support for plaintiff's position here. Silver and Associated Press suggest that where the group boycott under challenge does not involve a direct effort to influence the supply of or demand for a competitor's product, per se treatment may not be appropriate thus. Whereas here, the alleged boycott merely entails the refusal by a group of competitors to deal with another trader on their own level of distribution. Considerations of industry structure and anti-competitive potential remain paramount. In the instant case, plaintiff made no showing that membership in the defendant association is necessary to compete effectively as a Dotson dealer. Unlike the plaintiffs in Associated Press and Silver, the cases, Tolkien Dotson was not deprived of substantial business relationships by virtue of the association's conduct, nor was its competitive position significantly impaired. Indeed, the only concrete injury alleged by Tolkien was its inability to share in the profits of the previously planned Dotson 210 special promotion. Such an absence of anti-competitive effect is not surprising given the association's lack of market power and its relative inability to influence either the supply of or the demand for Dotson automobiles. So if the market is advertising on Twitter and Garm says you don't meet our standards, so none of us 90% of global market advertisers are going to advertise on your platform, that's not illegal according to this. The association doesn't have any power to change the competition in Twitter's market for advertising. All they can do is withdraw their own advertising. They're not saying you're charging too much for advertising. We're going to boycott you until you charge a more favorable price. And that still might not even be it because they're not direct competitors. Unilever and Twitter are not direct competitors, no matter what Elon Musk says. So, we can continue. But I think I've made my point. And rather than belabor this even further, I don't think Elon Musk has even a shred of a case. I do want to see something though. Do I understand already that GARM shut down in response to this? So yes, the World Advertising Association or whatever it was is now shutting down. Of course, here's a no. I do not accept cookies, and of course that means that I won't get any article here. So Musk sued GARM, and GARM has shut down, which is I really don't know what to make of that because GARM was just an alliance of advertisers. It's not like the advertisers shut down. The advertisers just shut down the company that ran it, and now that company can't be sued. So, okay. And I don't think X is going to get very far with suing. Everything's going to happen behind the scenes. It sounds an awful lot like this is, you know, machismo. Just strutting around the yard and clucking like a chicken, and hoping that somebody out there is like, hey, that clucking chicken is really sexy. Um, the world has gone absolutely nuts. Advertising safety is now under attack. Is where we are in 2024. I didn't have that one on my bingo card, although maybe I should have. So let me know what you. They didn't shut down. They shuttered operations. Okay, so I also yeah I know even less about what that means. Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on this. I expect it to either have a spectacular failing. I expect it to either fail spectacularly or settle to be settled quietly because I can't see how Elon Musk or Twitter or this lawsuit win anything. They've sued companies that aren't competitors. It's not a group boycott. What? It's it's political trash is what it is, and it doesn't belong in my court system. It's trash. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, so I have absolutely no idea what the hell that is. Absolutely no freaking clue what we just read. You should be able to write. You should be able to if the entire article isn't hidden via inspect. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. What happened with Elon Musk? So he's suing advertisers that suspended advertising on Twitter, claiming that it's an illegal group boycott. And we just went through the complaint. There's also a Senate Judiciary Committee investigation into advertising brand safety, but like anti brand safety. Like the Judiciary Committee was anti brand safety. Um, yes, I read through the rantings of a petulant child. And then I showed several examples of cases that explain that a group boycott is different than what Elon Musk is claiming here. A group boycott is more like when competitors conspire to boycott a competitor so that the competitor can't get into their business. Twitter is not in the business of making Unilever products or CVS products. Unilever or Twitter or X or whatever are not in competition, so it's not a group boycott. Plus, a group boycott that has a purpose other than stifling competition, that's considered. So, brand safety standards will be considered, even if this was something that met the elements of a group boycott. Uh, didn't he tell his advertisers to F themselves? Yes, he did. So that's also going to be evidence. Hear me out here. What if it was never meant to get to that? Who cares about the lawsuit and the litigation and the winning and all that? He filed it, it made headlines, it's cheaper than a press release. He win. Like that's he wins. That's this is the win. He already wins. While the rest, I don't know. There needs at some point, doesn't somebody like don't the rest of the world collectively be like, no, we don't accept this behavior. This is not how human beings are supposed to treat each other. I'm waiting patiently for that moment. I'm applying pressure where I can, but this man is an immature child and he treats people terribly, and we shouldn't accept it. No one should accept this. But money, yes, because he has money, everyone suddenly gives in on their ethics, and their morals are suddenly very flexible when money is involved. I've noticed this. Do we just have to start ignoring? Yes, if we all just collectively ignored him, that'd probably be the best thing ever. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm going to go. I love you all. I'll see you in the videos that drop, and at some point we'll have an announcement about restarting, reigniting Lawful Masses back to its former glory. We'll try again, round 2. Anyway, love you all. Have a great day, great afternoon, good evening, good night. Bye. I love you.